This is why I like our Gen Z company.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind of being part of the show. We are going to have, as usual, a great show for you today. I tried, let me just tell you, I want to talk about tariffs first of all. And I was supposed to cut it out of the program I did this morning, but I didn't get the time to do so. So I will have to do it all over again in live. So actually, instead of getting me cutting and pasting for that tariff thing that I want to talk about, I will be talking about it all over live. And of course, that means a whole lot of probably different intonations and changes, etc., to talking about tariffs. But beforehand, I want to welcome all my peeps in the house. I want to welcome all my peeps in the house. Let me get this stuff fired off at Daily Coast first. You know, we are going to be up there in New Orleans for the great Net Roots Nation in August. Going to be coming to you guys to see who wants to be listed on all the interviews that we did do as executive producers and supporters and sponsors. So we'll be putting that out sometime later on this week. Anyhow, how are my peeps doing? Welcome aboard. We have in the house AVQ numero uno came in number one today. AVQ, well, he comes in number one almost every day. AVQ from Brooklyn, New York. We have coming in Joe from Los Angeles, California. We also have Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Patrick Magner from Houston, Texas says meow. We also have our Professora Jacqueline Campizzi. Hey, Jacqueline, guess what? I have some great news for you. My daughter, as you know, has had 2 strokes. And, you know, we got her into some recovery and all of that. And she's doing very well. Left side compromised really badly still. But She starts teaching the sixth grade. She starts teaching the sixth grade this fall, and she's going to be a hell of a science teacher. And she knows how much her dad believes that the teaching profession is the most important profession, bar none. And to all the teachers in the house, I give you my most sincere kudos because you guys, all you teachers, make the world go round. It is you, not the stockbroker, not the capitalist. None of those people make things happen. Teachers, come on, anybody that's a teacher, go ahead and put I am a teacher in the chat. All you teachers are the ones who make America America. I want all of you to know that from the depths of my heart. This is not just something to say nice about. I want you guys to really digest that. It must be digested. You are the most important profession, bar none, because you keep knowledge moving forward. And don't let anybody, don't let the right wing take that away from you. Don't let the capitalists take that away from you because they would like to diminish you because they understand that they are really made up of, most of the times, niet, nothing. I hope you guys get that, people. And I hope you get it with the severity with which I am saying that. Anyhow, we have a great program for you today, folks. We have a great program for you today. Welcome aboard as well. Let's see, Anthony Lofranco. How are you doing, Anthony? Thank you for being here. We also have in the house AE, Femk, JR, GR, Carmen, Adam W, Chardonnay. I love that name, Chardonnay. John A. Davis, Terry Sells, Millicent, Linda, PJ Schuster, Lewis Rollins, Hirat Kide Marian. I'm a parent, not a teacher, but I have more respect for than anyone else. And it's else's profession. You got that right, brother. You've got that right. All right. Okay. Teacher union misspelled against Trump. Again, teacher unions. I'm with the teacher unions. Like I said before, we should have no discussion about this type of profession and which becomes the most important. All right. Let's see. Come on by Twitch, YouTube to Facebook so we can see your comments. Hey, Michael Rudden is trying to get some of our Substack folks to look at other forms of our program as well. Peter Wester, welcome aboard. All right, I'm going to start before I get into the tariff. I want more people to be here because I really want you guys to understand the tariff stuff. And for those of you that are here that sometimes just stop by and leave, do not leave. I want to make sure this is digested. But I'm going to start with something light. Something really light. Donald Trump and his incompetent people that he hires in his administration. And here it goes. The Trump administration is filled up with a whole lot of, for lack of a better word, dummies and just performers. We have, for Defense Department, we have a TV protagonist, a TV host. We have now a nomination for the ambassador of Malaysia, Nick Adams, another conservative commentator. People that have no business doing anything about politics. Donald Trump has filled his administration with a whole bunch of folks that have no idea how to do the job. And the first emergency that we have is going to become immediately clear from who leads the FAA Transportation Department. I mean, it is going to be a mess. And we saw what occurred on the river, and we saw what is occurring throughout the Northeast. There's no leadership at all. Check this out, and we'll take it on the other side.
One more thing before we go. Yesterday, the president announced his nomination for ambassador to Malaysia, conservative influencer Nick Adams. And in case you don't know who Nick Adams is, well, Here's a little taste of him.
For the last time, stop sending Pizza Hut pizza to my house. When Pizza Hut went woke and decided to peddle drag queen propaganda to our youth, patriotic alpha males everywhere took a pledge that Pizza Hut stuffed crust sausage pizza would never again pass our lips. And now they're trying to win our business back. So let's settle this right here, right now. I don't care how many pizzas you send, I will never ever cave, and I will never ever ever apologise. And if you want to really know how I feel about the left's woke precious pizza, I'll show you. I'm off to Hooters with the boys. The boycott stands.
Now, would you not be embarrassed to have that being the representative of our country in a foreign land? What is Donald Trump thinking when he does that? He shows a disrespect for this country that, done by anybody else, would raise the ire of the entire country. Why isn't it raising the ire of everyone now? Absolutely. Why isn't it raising the ire of anyone now? Well, Malaysia comes out and Malaysia says, hey guys, Malaysians are urging their government to reject Donald Trump's appointment of conservative provocateur Nick Adams as the U.S. ambassador to their country. Political parties, parliamentarians, and members of the public are pressing Anwar Ibrahim's government to reject the MAGA commentator as ambassador to the majority Muslim country over his vocal support of Israel's Zionist regime. Mr. Adams, 40, a provocateur with a reputation of making incendiary social media posts, including one in which he referred to pop star Taylor Swift as a woke Jezebel, was nominated by Mr. Trump last week. Mr. Adams was born in Sydney before immigrating to the U.S. in 2012. If confirmed by the Senate, he would replace Edward Kagan, who took the job less than 16 months ago. And wow. And I guess he's of the right hue, even as though he's a foreigner, right? Even though he is maybe a naturalized citizen, he's the right kind of naturalized citizen to go represent America in Malaysia. It is just amazing how these people operate. Hirut, forgive my ignorance, Hirut. And I don't even know if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Forgive me if I'm doing that incorrectly as well. But yes, now I will know it's Miss Hirut. All right? Okay, welcome aboard Bridge MCP, mi hermanita de Binghamton, New York. And we also have in the house May Wood from Long Beach, California. Thank you for being here, all of you for being here. Laura Gomez, welcome aboard. Loretta Viner, Do You Lie? How you doing, Do You Lie? Great to have you here, brother. All right, now I'm going to take this time to go over something that I spoke of this morning on the program at KPFT, and I need to go over this first of all. And I want you to realize that Donald Trump could actually win the tariff debate. I did a lot of thinking about that last night. And it occurred to me that the reason he could win the debate, again, it is terrible, horrendous mainstream media coverage. Okay? It is horrendous mainstream media coverage that's going to likely give him that win. And let me explain it this way. First of all, let's talk about what tariffs are for. When you invoke a tariff on a product, you want the price of that product to go up to the consumer. And the reason you want the price of that product to go up is because you want to make it more likely that a local an American company who has higher costs likely to develop that product will develop that product profitably by forcing the cheap products from the United States that extra price. And that money, of course, goes into the treasury. So the reality is you do want inflated prices on anything that you put a tariff on. The increased price incentivizes manufacturing in your country. But that is not what Trump is doing. Trump has blanketed different countries with just over-the-counter tariffs, just a whole bunch of tariffs. And the reason he's doing that, unlike really wanting to create manufacturing in the United States, is to raise money to give away to his benefactors, to the wealthy folks. How do we know that? Because if he wanted tariffs to increase local American manufacturing, he would want the prices to go up. Because if the price of electric cars coming from China are more expensive, GM and all the other manufacturers are going to say, okay, we can go ahead and invest a whole lot in these cars because we have price support. China stuff is a lot cheaper to make over there, but we can make it here at a higher price and work on our efficiencies over here. That's why you want tariffs, but that's not what he did. He just put blanket tariffs on a whole lot of countries, and in putting blanket tariff on a whole lot of countries, all the products coming in from those countries get a price increase. Now, here is the little dirty secret about tariffs. The inflation created by tariffs occur one time. And this is important for you to understand. And this is the sole reason he can win this argument if it's not very well explained. Once you increase the tariff on a product, that price increase occurs once. And you get that inflation rate for that product once. Any other inflation on that product is inflation applied from natural causes, increase in fuel costs, all that stuff, the naturally increase prices. But for tariffs, it occurs one time. So Donald Trump is waging the following. I am going to have all these tariffs all at once. And we're going to get that inflation rate hit one time. And then the next month, if all else stays the same, guess what's the inflation rate? 0. Because again, you take the inflation rate, it's a price increase. If there are no further prices increases, then that tariff doesn't cause any more prices to go up. But there's another thing that occurs. And this is what's dishonest about it. Whenever you increase those prices, that price increase is permanent. It's a permanent tax on all the people who buy those products. So therefore, since we're not going to manufacture textiles ever again in the United States, why? Because all the equipment to manufacture cloth and threads and all of that are made in other countries more efficiently. If we wanted to create a manufacturing industry again, just like it took 40 years to destroy, it'll probably take 40 years to rebuild. So that would mean purchasing all this machinery that is needed to create local manufacturing of glass bottles, of plastic bottles and in mass. And even if we brought those back, that will be done. All those new machinery will likely be done by robots. So it won't be creating new jobs in the United States. It'll just be made here by robots. So there is no real manufacturing edge that we will get for that price increase that we're paying. There's another catch that you have to understand. Anything that we buy from overseas, the markup is generally huge. So if you buy a remote from China, many a times that remote, when it's sold in some store, is marked up by 400% or more. But when the tariff is applied for the amount of money that was purchased for. So let's give an example. Let's say a shoe we purchase from China costs $10. Let's say Donald Trump puts on a 25% tariff. That shoe now costs the importer 10.25. I mean 12.25, 12.50. Okay? Now, when he marks up that shoe, he charged $40 for that shoe normally. He can decide to, over time, the first month charge $40.50 for the shoe, $41 the next time, $42 the next time, $42.50 the next time to recover the tariff. That is not a 25% increase. That is a percentage of retail, right? So the actual amount that is going to be increased is a lot less than the nominal amount of the tariff at 25%. But you know, capitalists have another thing up their sleeve. They know that you don't know that. So when they mark up that shoe, they're not going to finish the marking up at $42.50. They're going to finish the markup at maybe $45. Blame it on tariff for that less than 10% markup of that shoe. Why is it then that you see a lot of businesses, they kind of nominally complain, but they don't look at it at the end of the world? Because of two things. One, the tariff then becomes, if left as is, the tariff becomes a permanent tax on the working class. Everybody that shops at Walmart, everybody that shops at HEB, everybody that shops in all these stores get another tax. You'll see in one of the videos where the Trump official says, the Treasury Department, or rather the CBO says, if we put these tariffs on, we will raise an extra $3 trillion over 10 years. What is the budget deficit from Donald Trump's budget scam again? About $3 billion. Let's go for another caveat here. Another caveat. Let's assume that we honestly collect $3 trillion in those taxes. It will be true then that Donald Trump's big bad bill doesn't really generate the deficit that we say it's going to generate if the tariff stays as is. All right, and now here is where it gets complicated to talk about. Because what happens with this big bait and switch is Donald Trump sells himself as the president cutting taxes, not just for the wealthy, but for everybody. But in the attempt to balance the budget over 10 years or ongoing, what he's willing to do is use tariffs to go ahead and raise a whole lot of money for the Treasury. And who is that tax on a per capita basis? The working class, the middle class. If you spend $30,000, your whole family, right? Your tax increase is humongous because it's a piece of every product you buy, every meal you eat at a restaurant, everywhere you go, you're paying extra pennies out of your pocket into Trump's treasury to pay for the tax cuts for those wealthy folk. And so when I went ahead and started to do a lot of the other analysis, it turns out that all else being equal, Donald Trump's budget will only be successful if he successfully screws MAGA, the middle class, and the working class. By doing what? Increasing all of their taxes as the working class, as the wealthy class runs away with all the savings. So there's one caveat that we need to mention here, however, because you can't get something for nothing. And here's what's not known. Here is what's not known. We don't know how, remember, you're taking, just like we took trillions almost $1 trillion out of Medicaid for those taxes, we're taking $3 trillion, assuming those numbers are correct. We're taking $3 trillion out of the economy, out of your hands, the working class hands. We're taking $3 trillion out. And what that means is that's $3 trillion that will not get spent at Walmart, Target, your local bakery, your local restaurant. So that will, in effect, diminish economic activity. The question is, the economic activity that it decrease, what is it as a percentage of what people actually buy? The contention is that given that you're taking that money away from the working class, it will have a severe impact on the economic growth. And it'll probably take way over a percentage point off of the economic growth. And if it does that, it'll definitely throw us into a recession that will be fairly hard to get out of. And again, we have some evidence of this, right? We once did this tariff thing before. We once did this tariff thing in the 30s, and it was summarily a failure. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is that we can have a short-term inference that this stuff works. And those of us that are in the business of informing Americans about what's true and what is not, we better have our T's crossed and our I's dotted, because we need to be able to explain to everybody in a non-boring way, Mr. Do You Lie? I'm trying not to be boring in the way I explain this. We have to try to explain this in a way that people are ready to understand and accept in real terms. So as I move on, I am going to also need your help. Whenever I fail at explaining something, like when Do You Lie told me I was boring, right? I need to know that, because we have to get the message right. It's not about me giving a message or whatever. It is about being able to communicate effectively. So as a host, as someone with a platform, I want to hear from all of you whether these messages are getting through, whether it's getting to you in a form that you can use, that you can further expand on. And in areas where we need to clean the message up, let us know. But we've got to do this, folks. It's not about singing the praises that Donald Trump is just this creep that gets it all wrong. A clock is right twice a day. Whether it's, that's broken. A broken clock is right twice a day. So again, let's make sure that we have the message correct. All right, before I go to the next subject, the next video, Benita isn't boring. It gets over the heads. I like charts. LOL. Okay. I need to learn how to best put this in chart form. Anybody wants to help me put that commentary that I just gave in chart form? Please feel free. Laura Whiteside said understood. Thank you very much for that, Laura. Miss Hirut Kidain Median says, no, boring. If your daughter is anything like you, her students are very lucky. Oh, wow. That touches my heart like you don't understand, Hirut. Thank you so kindly for that. Maz Maniac is in the house. And Michael says tariffs are effectively an increased sales tax on imported goods. The resultant tax revenue will then go as a transfer of wealth from the middle class and working poor straight to the corporations that are currently earning record profits due to their greedflation activities of increasing costs even above the tariff rate. That's what I tried to explain as well, Michael, when I said they won't stop at $42.50 for that $40 shoe. They will actually move it to $45 and say, $44.50, and say, oh, no, it was a 10% tariff or whatever. Or, you get what I'm saying. Good point. The people are being squeezed economically. This cannot be sustained and will result in a second Great Depression if allowed to continue. I agree. I agree. I agree. Patrick Magnus says economists will confirm we are in a recession by July of 2026. Yep. You sent me some messages, Mr. Magner, where you point out that you can actually see the activity that's missing out there. It would also hurt smaller business. You're absolutely right, Independent Voter One. It will definitely hurt smaller business. Let's see what else we got here. PJ Schuster says, I didn't find it boring. It was very informative, and I plan to send this video to my Republican sister so that she can understand what tariffs will do. Thank you, brother. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut that message that I said. I'll clean it up a bit. I'm going to cut it into an independent video, write a blog about it, and it'll be the next newsletter that I release so that you can give her the entire newsletter, Brother Schuster. Or PJ Schuster. I'm assuming it's a brother and not a sister, like this silly mistake I made with Hirut's name. All right, Chardonnay, I finally understand tariffs. Thank you. Oh, you guys are making me feel so good today. Thank you so kindly, guys. Thank you so kindly. Okay, next subject. ABC News, and this one is going to increase some tariff stuff as well. ABC News allowed one of Donald Trump's sycophants to come on TV and call him a successful businessman. Donald Trump had more bankruptcies than just about anybody, any business person. Has he had businesses that were successful? Yes. Okay, PJ is an older woman. Okay, I missed it again. Hirut and PJ, forgive me. I've done sinned. Now I know PJ is a lady, and I know Hirut is a lady. Madre mía, ¿qué es lo que me pasa hoy? All right, folks, look. So I'm going to play this one, what the ABC host did, and then we'll take it on the other side. You know, in watching the morning programs, I have given up expecting to get any sort of substantive questioning of Republicans. We will get substantive questionings of Democrats, but substantive questioning of Republicans, never. In fact, we just let Republicans spoon misinformation. We allow Republicans to use our airwaves to mislead all Americans. And that's what was done here again in this interview. Anybody who made the mistake and says that Donald Trump was a successful businessman should be ashamed of themselves, because I don't think Donald Trump has ever run a successful business, ever. And point blank, he's had 6 bankruptcies. Plane went out, airline business went out of business, water out of business, steaks out of business. How is this guy a successful businessman? Please name me one real success, not one based on illusions, one success. But I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Let me ask you about the new tariffs that the president has just announced that he's going to impose on August 1st on Canada, European Union, and Mexico. Why now? What's going on?
Well, I think that we've got a deadline that's coming up in early August. And the thing about President Trump, if you go back and look at his history, that he became one of the most successful, if not the most successful businessman in the 20th century, because he was able to squeeze everything out of every deal that he made. And right now we've got that guy who wrote The Art of the Deal, making deals for the American people. And we've got to see where the dust settles. The bottom line is that he's seen some sketches of deals that have been negotiated with Howard Lutnick and the rest of the trade team. And the president thinks the deals need to be better. And to basically put a line in the sand, he sent these letters out to folks, and we'll see how it works out.
I mean, for all the talk of deals, I mean, there was talk of 90 deals in 90 days. And then the president actually said 200 deals at one point. And we've really only seen 2.5 deals. We've seen the UK, we've seen Vietnam, and a kind of a framework on China. So let me ask you, because what we're hearing from the Europeans and from the Mexicans is they were in the middle of these negotiations as this was going on. So Is this a negotiating tactic, or are these tariffs real?
These tariffs are real if the president doesn't get a deal that he thinks is good enough. But, conversations are ongoing, and we'll see where the dust settles. The bottom line is that President Trump has produced a huge amount of tariff revenue with the tariffs we've seen in the first half of the year. The Congressional Budget Office has said that tariff revenue over the next 10 years, which will help reduce the deficit and secure our entitlement programs, it's $3 trillion. And consumers haven't seen that. Consumer price index inflation right now is the lowest it's been in over a decade. And so what President Trump has always said is that the foreign suppliers, the foreign governments are going to bear most of the tariffs. It's being visibly seen. And I think that that's probably affecting his negotiating position because we've got all this empirical evidence that his position has been proven correct in the data.
So, yes, if you want to talk about Donald Trump being a successful business person, it will be hard to find any business that one can say is an ultimate success. And we allowed a rep from Donald Trump to come and pollute the air with misinformation about Donald Trump having been a successful businessman. And Jonathan Karl has failed to point out that all these tariffs benefits that we see they're claiming are going to come from collecting because of these tariffs. That $3 trillion that he talks about, if it's ever realized, is not coming from the foreign companies. It's not coming from the foreign countries. It is coming from you, the American people. That is a $3 trillion tax on the working class. I repeat, that is a $3 trillion tax on the working class. And not once did Jonathan Karl mention that when he talks about the windfall of the CBO, pointed out that there may be, assuming these rates, they may collect $3 trillion in tariffs. That is a dereliction of duty.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into.
So yes, that is a dereliction of duty. I wanted to make sure. Notice what I like to tell folks is, I want when you listen to me, that you feel confident that even when you go ahead and research what I've said, that you feel fairly confident that you're going to get that, yeah, actually, Egberto is being very accurate. So what I did is I asked ChatGPT, because I didn't want to go ahead and list all his bankruptcies and all of that. I wanted to see what the final conclusion would be if he ever had a profitable business. So I asked ChatGPT, and I want you guys to listen to the answer. They gave a whole long thing, but I just want to print the conclusion for you. It said, yes, Donald Trump has run profitable businesses, particularly in hospitality, entertainment, licensing, and recently crypto and merchandise. But these profits often stem from brand exploitation and political capital rather than from classic, durable, underlying business models. Let me translate that for you. In other words, he's a snake oil salesman. That's how he has ever made money. Now, continuing, balancing eye-popping revenues with cyclical losses. His business empire is best viewed as one powered by deal-making flair and celebrity branding rather than consistent profitability. Wow. That says that this guy is a rip-off artist. That's all it's saying. It's saying that, yeah, the monies that he made were made from what? Exploitation and political capital. Well, there you go. There you go. I wanted to make sure it wasn't me just saying that. Yeah, we know about his bankruptcy. Yes, we know about the failed airline. Yes, we know about the failed steak. Yes, we know about the sale waters. Yes, we know about the sales whiskey, wine, etc., whatever that was. All failures. But yeah, hospitality, where he could use branding, exploitation, made a few bucks there. And of course, now where he controls the government, he can actually use crypto to make a few dollars. All right. Yesterday, Michael Rudnin asked me, are you still around, Michael? I think you are. You asked me to find the video for you, and I did find it. The lady, her name, and I need to reach out to her. Her name is um, Kelly Sisson Snyder. Kelly Sisson Snyder. And this is, it's a 5-minute piece. And what I want to do is I want to play it for all of you because I think it's worth playing. And those of you who are watching it, please, please go follow this woman so that, she can see that Politics Done Right brought her some people. I want her on our show sometime soon. I'll spend some time to find her. Here we go. Now.
Churches have not just been supported by white supremacy, they have served as its headquarters. I know you don't want to hear that. They have taught white people that oppression is godly and that power belongs to us by divine right. After the civil rights movement, powerful white people, men, saw that their grip was slipping. Black people were winning court cases. Poor people were organizing. Women were demanding rights. How dare we? LGBTQ people were coming out of their closets. And the foundations of white male dominance were cracking. So they thought, what can we use that no one will question? In 1979, Jerry Falwell founded the Moral Majority. He said it was about championing family values. That was a lie. The real trigger was that the IRS had begun revoking tax exemptions for whites-only Christian schools. Those whites-only schools were created specifically to avoid integration. Falwell's own school, Liberty Christian Academy, was one of them. The platform of the Moral Majority ended up getting built around the issue of abortion. Although that wasn't the original plan, they basically test drove different topics to see which ones would resonate the most with the audience they needed to capture, which was white Americans, white Christian Americans. It had everything to do with maintaining the right to discriminate, yet still enjoy government benefits. This guy named Paul Weyrich, who was a conservative political strategist, he teamed up with Falwell to build a political base. He admitted that abortion had not really motivated white evangelicals until it became politically useful. Their real grievance was losing control over who could sit in their classrooms, walk into their churches, and live in their neighborhoods. Once they realized that abortion could mask their racial panic, they made that their headline issue. They built a movement that turned pulpits into propaganda platforms. Sunday services became political strategy sessions. That's illegal. You're not supposed to be able to do that at a church if you're getting tax exemption. Ministers told white families that their enemies were not the wealthy elites exploiting their labor. They were not the politicians cutting their wages and stealing their pensions. The churches pointed to the poor, the black, the brown, the queer, the immigrant. Those people are the ones that are taking food out of your children's plate. They told white people they were being persecuted every time they were asked to share. And yes, I understand what it means for me to say this out loud. I know what it means to say that the church, something which is so sacred to so many, has been a central engine of the immoral institution of white supremacy. I know this will upset people. The white church has stood on the wrong side of every fight for justice in this country. Every one. During slavery, it defended human ownership. During Jim Crow, it defended lynching and segregation. Christian church members attended lynchings and brought their children to steep them in that evil. During the civil rights movement, it defended denying benefits to black people. During the rise of Trump, it defended cruelty in the name of religious liberty, as if Trump has a clue. Some churches resisted, yes. There are liberal churches who have a strong history of being on the right side of these issues, but most didn't. Most chose comfort. Even now, white churches help elect leaders who lie, steal, incite violence. They wage war on education. They call justice wokeness as an insult. They are consuming a message that keeps them at the center with the elite in their minds. They choose white power over compassion, over empathy. One share shows you care about setting the record straight. Please share. Next time, I am going to talk about how Donald Trump did not hijack this system. He was groomed into it. White churches.
All right, folks. All right. All right. I think this woman needs to be highlighted. Right now, this particular video has 68,000 likes. Every single one of you all should share, find her. I put the link. Let me put the link in both chats. I put it in the last chat. Here is the link for the Substack chat. All of us should be sharing this woman's work. This woman is, I'm going to call her the explainer in chief on this subject. The explainer in chief on this subject. I wanted to give her the biggest hug possible because she did it in a very non-confrontational, very civil manner, very non-accusatory manner on the pew, and she put the blame where it belonged, and that is the leadership of the church. And the one thing that, when I watched this video, the one thing that got to me is when she said they were on the wrong side of every social justice issue. Jesus's church, implemented by these people, have been and are on the wrong side of every social justice issue. And Hirut says, correct, now they are spreading hatred all over the world. They are in 99% of poor countries. Remember seeing people on street corners on Saturdays protesting abortion. Anthony Lefranco says, white churches also homogenize Putin and Trump, right? Imagine if Obama had done half the things that Trump did, right? Imagine. Just imagine. All right, folks, I have one last video. This one is Maxwell Frost. I love Gen Z folks, man. I think they are the future, and they are not scared to say what needs to be said out loud. Let's listen to Brother Maxwell Frost, and then we'll take it on the other side. This is why I like our Gen Z Congress people. They don't pull any punches as they're speaking. They don't pull any punches in just telling it like it is. And this is what Maxwell Frost, a congressman from Florida, Gen Z, did. And I want you to listen to this segment here about the immigration detention centers, what we should really call the gulags, or you can call it by whatever name you want. But what it is, it's a place where we are taking away the human rights of a lot of people. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Breaking news that's just happened within the past hour. The Washington Post is reporting under this headline: ICE declares millions of undocumented immigrants ineligible for bond hearings. This is a new revisited legal position on detention and release authorities from the Trump administration. They're saying that anybody who came into the United States illegally is no longer eligible for a bond hearing. And that might sound like a technical bit of legalese, but what they're saying is that that means millions of people who crossed the border into this country, came to this country illegally, can be arrested now, and have no right to get out. It literally could mean millions of people to be incarcerated indefinitely for the duration of any of their immigration proceedings, which can take months or years. Lawyers are responding to this by saying that this could mean the incarceration of millions of immigrants who came here over the past few decades, not people who have just arrived recently. I know you may or may not have had a chance to absorb this since this news just broke, but I wanted to get your instant reaction to it.
No, I saw it, and it's a complete perversion of a law and long-standing legal standard as it relates to detention. You know, for about a century in this country, if you are an immigrant, you're someone that's undocumented, and you're going through a process, maybe you've been arrested or detained, you're able to bond out, you're able to go back out in the world, continue to work, continue to be with your family as you go through the legal process. And that's been the standard for a century. In 1996, Congress passed a law that would essentially introduce this concept of mandatory detention for certain people, saying, well, judges can't give some immigrants the ability to bond out if they're a flight risk, if they've committed a crime, they have to remain detained. Now, the Trump administration is saying, well, that 1996 law applies to everyone, and it doesn't. They're completely wrong. And actually, this has already been settled in court in Washington at a detention center in Tacoma. So this will be litigated, but this points to something bigger. They want more people behind bars. They want to incarcerate more people, and they want to ethnically cleanse this country of certain types of immigrants. Because here's the thing. They're not going for every person here that's undocumented, because when I was in that internment camp in the Everglades, I didn't see any Europeans who overstayed their visa. I saw nothing but Latino men and Haitian men. And as we look at these operations going around the country, they are targeting specific types of people, and it's the type of people that look like me.
Now, this is clear. I love the way he said, what we are seeing here is ethnic cleansing. And it is true. If you take a look at exactly how this administration is performing, what they're doing with ICE is they're looking for people of color, people with an accent, etc., of color, and putting them in these gulags, putting them in these internment centers. As someone had previously said, why aren't they in Little Italy? Why aren't they in Little Russia? Why aren't they in areas where we know there are a lot of undocumented Europeans, undocumented Canadians, undocumented folks of European heritage? Maxwell Frost nails it. This is ethnic cleansing. And for him to be able to personalize that and say, what I saw in those cages were people like me. And that's all he is going to see in those cages, people like him, a Latino or a black man, a Latino or a brown guy. I mean, it is shameful that we are building up. We are making it seem normal to do what Hitler did. We are making it seem normal to repeat the Holocaust, if not as bad as the Holocaust, but to repeat that with what we're doing to people in these internment camps. And I mean, no disregard to what our Jewish brothers and sisters had to go through at all. At all. I understand. But what I'm saying is this is the ramp up, folks. This is the ramp up. And our Jewish brothers and sisters, our Black brothers and sisters, or Latino or Chinese brothers and sisters, everybody need to get on board and defend our citizens and our immigrants now. Absolutely so. Absolutely so. We all have to get together. This is the precursor to genocide by the Trump administration. We know that there are other administrations that we support that are currently effecting genocide. Well, that is just bringing it locally. Let's see. Hirut says, but what they say they will do, the Jewish guy, Stephen Miller. Imagine that, right, Hirut? He's Jewish. He should know better. He should know better. All right. I want to point out something because Maywood and Mike Cisak are having a discussion on renewable energy. And Mike Cisak is coming from a disingenuous position. And let me explain. He said, in a reply to Woods, he said, the only electricity generation I would consider is from nuclear. Solar and wind are too variable to provide the needed base of consistent power. Let's stop for a minute. We are currently producing a lot of solar and wind power right now. Okay, and that's being used. And yes, there are times that the sun ain't shining, and there are times that the wind's not blowing, and that's why you create back-in stores. You generate electricity with all the available forms of that you can use. Now, let me tell you what's disingenuous about this altogether. Let's look at it this way. Does it rain all the time? No, but we use hydropower. How do we use hydropower? We use hydropower because we store the rain in a lake and we use that power in the future. In other words, we collect the rain, we put it in a storage, and then we take it out temporarily. Sometimes when we have droughts, that particular form of energy is not, it's too variable again because the lake gets too low and we get to something called a dead pool, etc. But again, lakes are there to store the energy so that we can use it over time. But the same applies to wind energy and solar energy. We just need to build the stores for wind energy when the wind is blowing. Let me tell you, if you go across California or even Texas, a lot of times you see windmills that are not moving. And why aren't they moving? Because the grid is already fully supplied with power, so they don't need to produce any power. Now, suppose, and all of this was in the IRA, right? The reinvestment plan and the rescue plan and the inflation reduction plan. We had enough material, we had enough funds in there to do things like create big battery farms. And what's the purpose of the battery farms? To store the excess energy from wind power and solar when there's a whole lot of sun and when there's a whole lot of wind, and when there's not a whole lot of sun and a whole lot of wind. Just like a lake holds water at the Lake Mead for the dam to produce electricity, the batteries will hold the electricity to be released when there's no wind. I mean, this is not rocket science. And when I tell you that the right teaches you how to not think critically or think how to create a stoppage of thinking of how something can work, that's what I am talking about. Again, I repeat, just like a lake stores water for when there's a rainy day, we have the water stored and we release it for electricity. That's what batteries do for windmills. That's what batteries do for solar electricity as well. It is so amazing to me. Solar power still works when it's cloudy or rainy. Infrastructure investment for solar in combination with battery power is the way forward. The idea that solar is inconsistent is just some BS being said in an attempt to prevent that infrastructure investment. Exactly. And they buy it up so easily. And you know, Michael, the analogies are so clear. As I saw that, Mrs. Like, man, lakes are what again? Lakes are the storage for hydropower. Batteries are the storage for what again? Wind power. Joanne says wind power, turbine not spinning because they have mounted facing different direction. Thus, any given time, some will not be going dependent on the wind direction. But actually, a lot of them are set to rotate, sis. They can rotate to have their incident into the wind. So there are a lot of reasons why. But I think the newer ones rotate into the wind so that they don't ever have to lose wind power. In fact, their blades are far apart that they can go 360 if I remember correctly. All right, look, it's 4:00. We got to get out of Dodge. I want to thank all of you for listening to the program today. I want to ask all of you, those who have the wherewithal to do so, to please become subscribers, paid subscribers of our program. We cannot do this without you. We cannot inform without you. We spend a lot of time making sure to get it right. And anytime we slip, we make sure to correct right away. So again, please, if you have the wherewithal to do so, please become a paid subscriber today. And how do you become a paid subscriber today? You simply go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and I'm putting that in the feed right now. There it is in the Substack feed, and select an option. You can really make a difference, helping us grow and continue to put this message out. So it's in your hands. Please become a paid subscriber. Let me put it in the other chat as well. Please, guys, that is how we continue to make a difference. Michael says, Egberto, the newer models of omnidirectional wind turbines look like works of art. I know, right? Anyhow, thank you so kindly, Hirut. Hirut says, I subscribe, the best thing I did. Thank you so kindly. Could others follow Hirut's lead and become paid subscribers? I guarantee you, together we are making and we will continue to make a difference. That is how we get away from the mainstream media, where we don't just allow lies to be said, we allow the truth to come out. Got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.